Well, it looks like we have an opportunity to defend Diathma, and I am very pleased about this. Welcome back to Calradia Expanded at War, and let's join the defense and see what's going on here. So, obviously Matunus, right? You know Matunus, he's our engineer. He hasn't really been leveling up that fast, unfortunately, in terms of his engineering skill, and I've, been pretty vocal about that. I've been saying how disappointing it is that he's not leveling up in that so fast. However, it seems to me that in a siege defense, his construction of the ballistas and various other, forms of siege equipment actually did make a pretty hefty difference to his leveling up. And I am actually very surprised about that. I would not have expected defensive structures to provide as much, shall we say, as much experience as offensive ones. And they don't, obviously. I mean, defensive ones are much greater than offensive ones. Anyway, let's do this. Here we go. Diathma, let us defend and see what we can do. Now, bear in mind that, obviously, this guy is absolutely, completely dominating us in terms of numbers, and I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go, especially considering I'm not even entirely sure if he has a battering ram, and if he does have a battering ram, hopefully we'll be able to destroy it. Ooh, there's a ballista. Oh, I would love to get on this ballista, actually, sir. Thank you. Ah, I missed. Oh no, apparently I didn't miss, because apparently I gained 23 points in bow skill. Well, that's hilarious. You see that damage? Oh yeah, I see that damage. Thank you very much. I like that. Ah, yes, now I'm being a little bit too carefree and reckless with my shots. There we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Oh yes, that's fantastic. I have no idea what my bow skill is now, but hopefully it's something decent. I'm actually gonna... Oh, never mind. I thought to myself, I'm gonna try and focus on the battering ram a little bit. No, it turns out I don't need to, so let's murder a couple of these guys as they're walking up here. Oh, we actually only have 59 in bow, which is a little bit more disappointing than I anticipated, but that's okay. Because, of course, we have to bear in mind that I don't have anything in control skill, or very, very little bits in control. I do have a little bit in crossbow, but obviously, here's the thing. I'm not entirely sure why the ballista does not count as a crossbow piece of siege equipment, because if you think about it, it makes no sense for it to level up your bow skill, because it is basically a big crossbow, right? It's basically a big crossbow, so it makes no sense for it to level up your bow. I mean, is that just me? Maybe that's just me, but, well, honk if you agree with me. Yes, indeed. Yes. You know those things. You know those signs that you see on the side of the road, and, people going, honk if you agree about X thing, or, honk if you hate traffic jams, and so on and so forth. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. Anyway, unfortunately, it seems as though I am not going to be able to get into any kind of action at the moment because, well, let's face it, the enemy has literally rushed in here, and they are not going to have a very fun time. They are literally just going to get clobbered as soon as they come up here, and, well, I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. If they want to get clobbered, that is all up to them. But to me, unfortunately... Oh, hello there. Wait a minute. I almost slipped out. That would have not been particularly good. And, oh, look at that. Arwa is actually getting a couple of kills. Very nice indeed to see that. Usually she is not one to get any kills, either through the fact that there are just so many units in the area and she possibly cannot get to the enemy, because let's face it, she does have a very good one-handed weapon proficiency, and she has decent equipment, and there's no reason why she wouldn't get kills, but sometimes that's just how it is. Anyway, I actually think that the main reason why we are doing so well here is purely for the fact that Diathma is one of the best defensive structures I've seen so far. If you just take a quick look at how defensive it is and how strategically sound the emplacements are, for example, the ballistas. the ballistas are placed in such a, I don't even know, such an effective place that literally they can't do any better. And it's the same thing with the archery nest as well. If you take a look here, this is basically a fiendish mastermind building. You know, whoever designed this must be an absolute genius, because if you look at all of these various places, you can see that everything's covered basically. You know, if you have some people wanting to climb up the ladders like I'm overseeing here, you have this guy right here. You have a Vlandian sharpshooter who's ready and very willing to attack anyone that is attempting to, you know, climb the ladder and you know, deal with any interloping units. And it's working extremely well. It really is. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get to 275 in one-handed. I have 274 right now, so hopefully one more kill or so will get me the 275. That would be wonderful. Seems like there's a huge amount of dancing going on the ladder as well. You know, all these ragdolls going absolutely crazy. Yeah, I don't blame them, to be honest. Okay, so do I want to... You know, I kind of want to go out there, to be honest. I kind of want to go out there and see what's going on. But, you know, I'm actually just going to speed things up real quick, because generally, I think this is a pretty easy victory for us, and I'm actually just going to get out of the way. I apologize for the slideshow. And there it is. There's the victory for us. I basically just went to the back of the castle and allowed the fast forward to continue, and now we have a very, very convincing victory over the Northern Empire. They are really not going to know what to do now, because this is one of their larger armies, and if not the largest actually that they have available to them at the moment. And so as a result, that's going to just put every kind of, you know, spanner in the works, if you want to call it that. Anyway, we're just going to let some of these, well, actually I'm not going to let anyone go. I'm just going to take everyone. And we're going to just take... Ah, look at this. We are actually finally maxed out now. Whoa, look at this polearm. This is actually a fantastic polearm. Maybe it would be something that I can use. Yes. Ah, thank you very much. That's very cool. It's a cracked Manavlion. I think I've used one of these. Yeah, I think I've used one of these before, and they always worked out to be very, very nice, actually. So anyway, we're just going to take a bunch of horses. I'm just going to take a quick look at my herd. Ah, yeah, my herd deficit is actually minimal, so I'm very happy with that. And is there any food here? I don't think so. However, I am now going to have to take... Ah, there is some food. Okay, there we go. Fantastic. But yes, I am going to have to take the majority of things, you know, the things with the most numbers, and hopefully try to reduce the amount of waste that we're going to see here, because obviously I don't want to let huge amounts of experience be wasted, or in this case, money. So I'm going to need to take as much stuff as I can, because now that we have both of those perks unlocked, the experience gain is enormous. And there we go. Nice. 12,000 experience and a massive amount of cash in the process. And this is what's currently going on here. I'm just going to upgrade the militia grounds right there. And oh yeah, don't worry, I did see your comments regarding Diathma. I apparently was looking at the improved garrison menu of a different fief, but don't worry, I have rectified that situation now. And so, as you can see by those little garrison recruits running into, you know, station the keep, they are all set up as intended. And we're just going to ransom our prisoners right there as well. And we almost have 150 in Steward. Oh, that's interesting. Well, don't think Steward is going to be that useful for us, and it is leveling up very, very slowly, because I really do not have any points in intelligence or in Steward skill itself. Anyway, we have 2 perks with bow skill. That's really not going to do much for us. And we have 1 for athletics and 1 for one-handed. So let's take a look at athletics first, because we actually have the ability to increase our vigor attribute, and foot troops in your party gain 5%, or actually give 5% party speed. What does that actually mean? Does that mean that the foot troops in your army increase your map speed? that might very well be the case. If that is indeed what it is, then that could be very, very useful. And otherwise, we have increase your control attribute, and the other secondary effect is production is increased by 10% in governed farms, mines, lumber camps, and clay pits. Personally, I don't really like this, so I'm going to take this one. Even though the vigor attribute might go to waste, I think the party speed is really, really good. And at the moment, I only have 8 in vigor, so that's going to bring it up to 9, which is very nice. And we finally have Way of the Sword, which will now increase my one-handed damage and speed. And we now have the 2 bow perks. So what are we going to do with them? Decrease your bow accuracy loss due to movement, or increase your headshot damage. I don't really care. Let's go for the accuracy due to movement. Your attacks with bows, ignore 10% of the enemy's armor, or decrease the penalty to movement speed for reloading by 50%. I really don't care. I'm not going to be using a bow in this series, I don't think. If anything, I'm probably going to be using a crossbow. So, yeah, I actually do need to get one of those, don't I? Yeah, I do need to get one of those. Next time I go over to Vlandian territory, I'm probably going to try and find a good one. But we got to... Oh, never mind. Okay, well, wait a minute. I'm just going to finish that thought. I have to make sure that I buy a crossbow that I can actually use. Because bear in mind that most of the crossbows that are actually really powerful are usually skill restricted. So you're going to need like 40 or 50, maybe even 60 crossbow skill. I'm not entirely sure if they've added additional crossbows to the game since the time I was using crossbows a while ago. Anyway, we were rudely interrupted by this massive army of actually not 2, but 950 units. And Mitunis, look at him. Look at him, he's leveling up his engineering like no one's business. Oh yeah, someone actually also mentioned that maybe I should take a look at some of my companions, because maybe they have some perks to spend. So yeah, I'm actually going to do that. Obviously, we've got to bear in mind that I do have auto level up on my companions, so they're more than likely going to focus on things that, you know, they themselves deem useful, but, you know, maybe that's not a good idea. I think in general, in the future, I probably will disable that if I can continue to manage them remotely, as you know, as I'm obviously using enhanced party screen enhancements or something, and I think I can speak to my companions from far away as a result of that. I think that is the mod that does that. Anyway, defensive siege engines have 30% more hit points, or 30% faster build rate for fortification, aqueduct, and barracks projects. Now bear in mind, this is obviously a governor perk, and he is not the governor of anything, so this makes no sense. So, oh, the other one is also the same thing. Oh. That makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, I'm going to take stonecutters then, I guess, because it really doesn't do anything for us at all, which is actually kind of disappointing, to be honest. That is very, very disappointing. Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the other companions here. It doesn't seem as though they have anything of note. No, it doesn't seem like they have anything. Okay, so let's join the defense and see what we can do. Now, bear in mind, look at this. 950... 950 enemies against 364 of us. I'm really not sure whether we can do this. I was kind of confident about the previous siege, but this one might give us a bit of trouble. Ooh, I bring you some good news as I return with the wonderful force of 797. They actually lost one vassal, by the way. But yes, I bring you some good news. The forces of Kulstad, or the, shall we say, the society that lives there, the civilians, the people, the population, whatever you want to call them, they have rebelled against Mr. Melodier, who is the person that we actually did that deal with from the Battanians. He's actually the guy that we traded, what was it now, Caerban Seth and Glentor Castle with. He is the guy that formerly owned those fiefs, and now he owns Kulstad. Or technically he doesn't own that anymore because they have rebelled against him, which is actually fantastic. Hilariously enough, that kind of thing happening really makes a big difference as well. Because you've got to bear in mind that obviously if that kind of thing happens, it's just going to be much more of a thorn in their side than it would have otherwise been. And in general, because he was obviously relatively, I would assume, quite slow, with garrisoning the place. I assume he was probably quite slow in garrisoning it. And as a result of his slowness, that has made things very easy for the people to decide to rebel against him, which is actually great. So I'm pretty happy about that. Anyway, I'm actually going to just try and do some damage to these people with my ballista, my wonderful ballista skills that I completely do not suck at whatsoever. Oh yes, that is sarcasm, of course. Anyway. Ooh, nice. Okay, that was a good hit, but unfortunately I only managed to get one of them. Generally, you can kill so many enemies with this particular piece of siege equipment if you are accurate enough. Gonna try... should I try and hit these guys from here? Yeah. Nice. There we go. 2 kills for the price of 1. Thank you very much. Should I try and hit this? Okay, how much does that do? 93 damage to the siege tower. Not sure if that's worth it. It's probably much more worth it to kill enemies with this, isn't it? This is much more of an anti-unit weapon more than an anti-siege equipment weapon, right? So I should probably continue to shoot at the opponent. And it seems to be doing a fantastic job. I mean, literally, I'm getting triple kill after triple kill right here, which is amazing. I actually wonder whether I'm getting more kills than the display just can't show me. Maybe that's actually the case. Anyway, I took out one of the enemy vassal leaders as well, which is amazing. And now I'm getting shot at. How dare you? How dare you? I am not being aggressive to you whatsoever, apart from shooting you with a massive bolt of wood. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Okay, so let's have a look. Maybe I can continue to rain down some death and destruction. I'm actually not entirely sure, by the way, whether I can run out of ammunition with this weapon. I'm really not sure about that at all, because obviously the catapults, they will eventually run out of rocks to shoot. And I'm not sure whether the ballista is the same, but I am very pleased with how it's going so far. Unfortunately, I'm now getting single kills. Nice. Oh, that was a good triple kill. Oof, it's so satisfying to use this weapon. It really is. So incredibly satisfying. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend, just going in, if you can, at least, because I know that it's very difficult to get into a siege defense. But if you can get into a siege defense, please try to make sure you have a ballista on the walls. And if you can, try to get into Diathma. This is obviously very specific. But if you try to get into Diathma and you have exactly the same positioning that I do right here with this ballista right there, I cannot think of a better situation to be in to have a huge amount of fun with a piece of siege equipment. Because I know that I've said in the past, hey, you know what, this catapult or, whatever it may be, defensive or offensive structure, when it has to do with projectiles, in other words, when it has to do with, flaming rocks or just regular rocks flying through the air, it's very difficult to utilize that kind of weapon in comparison to utilizing something that flies in it's a pretty straight line with the exception of a little bit of drop over longer distances. So the ballista is just so much easier to use, and as a result, so much more fun. Or I personally think it's a lot more fun. Anyway, I'm actually going to take this opportunity to use my new weapon. Actually, I can use it with... Oh, my. Okay, this is... What? Oh, this weapon is amazing. Okay, why didn't I make one of these before? Oh, okay, hello there. Okay, I'm going to die now. Yes. The wonders of me... Yes, the wonders of me, which is exactly what happens every single time. I get a bit carried away, and then I think to myself, oh yes, let me just run out there and get murdered. Yeah, it sounds like a good plan, right? But yeah, oh, I got shot in the face. Ow, that really hurt. Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can run away over here. This is really when I wish I had some kind of ability to bandage myself. Look at him. Look at old man Byron. He's covered in the enemy's blood. I gotta say, this is actually a pretty cool look, to be honest. He very much looks like a proper warrior now. His hands are covered in blood, his armor is splattered. Gotta say, they've done a very good job with the texturing and all that, the graphical work in regards to the blood splatter and everything. But yeah, anyway, this weapon is fantastic, and I cannot believe... I was really enjoying myself way too much, so now I'm dead. Yeah, that happens. Okay, well, whatever the case, I can now speed things up, and I think we'll probably be okay to win. It is going to definitely take more casualties than the previous engagement that we had, but hopefully it's not really going to affect our ability to win. Oh, look at this. They're literally going out. My forces literally went out to try and kill the enemy vassal. That is pretty funny. Alright, so yeah, there we are. We are now done. I think I'm going to let most of these guys go. I think I know most of them. This guy I'm going to keep. This guy I'll let go. Just going to try and make friends as much as I possibly can, of course. Let's see. Oh, that's Lukon. Lukon's clan. I'm going to keep him. This guy is part of... What? This guy... What is this? What clan is this? Chusun Tai's clan? I have no idea. It must be a rebel faction or something? Yeah, it must be a rebel faction that has joined the Northern Empire or something along those lines. I guess I'll let them go if they are capable of joining a larger faction, and they're not a minor faction, they're just a rebel clan or something, then I suppose it's a good idea to let them go. I'm not entirely sure about that. Anyway, I'm going to let Gifor go as well. We're going to take a whole bunch of prisoners here. I think I'm going to place a bunch in there as well. And as you can see, we don't have anyone that can actually level up at the moment. So I'm going to be taking all of this, I guess. Going to be taking all of this and then going into the marketplace and selling immediately. But what I also want to do is we want to manage the prisoners. So I am going to do this where... These are all my prisoners, right? Yeah, so basically I don't know if I can even persuade tier 5 units. We actually have a whole bunch of prisoners in here already, to be honest. Okay, so let's just put a bunch of these. I'm going to only put tier 5s and tier 4s in here, and then the rest I'm going to sell probably. So let's just put some ranged in there too. Just in case the tier 5s cannot be persuaded, I'm going to be putting tier 4s as well, but I won't be putting anything lower than that. We've also got horse archers here. I think I mistakenly put some tier 3s, but that's okay. You know, sometimes it's a decent idea to just put a couple of those in. Just, you never know. You never know. Anyway, yeah, we are also going to go into the recruitment here. Yeah, so we are already recruiting prisoners, as you can see. So that's obviously going to make a pretty big difference. We've done this in the past, but I have found that recruiting prisoners is not that effective. I don't know whether it's just me, but it doesn't feel as effective as just recruiting new units or putting your own units in there or something like that. You know, generally that's just my experience. But who knows? Maybe it's going to be a little bit better this time around. And there we go. There's another 76,000 we're gaining from that too. Very nice. All right, so let's wait here for some time. We're going to hopefully be able to restore ourselves, and hopefully that's it for the Northern Empire and their ability to try and take this back, because Diathma is certainly, in my opinion at least, one of my favorite sieges to date to defend, and that really makes a big difference. I mean, you can think about how, basically you can count how many fiefs I have defended on one hand, or two hands, eh? Maybe one or two hands? I'm not entirely sure, but you can basically... You know, it's under 10, at least. It's under 10, right? So that really makes a huge difference. Anyway, I have prisoners. Oh, yeah, I should have ransomed those a long time ago, actually. Well, never mind. I may have lost a couple of... them. But there you go. Okay, so we have 220, and I do have a couple of level ups. And there we go. Okay, so this is my army, if you can believe it. Look at this. We have 57 Banner Knights. They are tier 6 units. They are the They are the noble units that you can get. I also have 10 pikemen, 86 sergeants, 60 sharpshooters, and then a variety of other cavalry. But I am going to attempt to try and get more units as we go, because obviously if you think about this, I mean, I'm literally 80 troops less than maxed out, and we really do need to do something about that. Seems like the Northern Empire is just about ready to make peace. And I'm actually wondering whether I should head on to Atrion Castle. I really should head on to Atrion Castle, shouldn't I? This is probably one of the best opportunities that we're going to have to be able to besiege something just before the war exhaustion. Oh. Okay, yeah, never mind. I don't think we can do anything about this. I mean, yeah, they're probably going to say, "Hey, can you stop that, please?" You know, because they are bringing even more people. They're bringing even more people to try and stop us. That's not very nice. Okay, so let me actually just have a look and see where they're going. They're besieging Diathma again. Right. Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of weird, I gotta say. That is kind of weird, considering they have lost 2 consecutive, very large armies to the garrison at Diathma. I really have no idea why they would want to continue to throw enemies, or shall we say, continue to throw their own units away in this siege, especially considering once they are defeated here, that is probably going to be it. That is probably going to be it in terms of their ability to maintain a fighting force. In other words, their war exhaustion is going to start to kick in as well. Anyway, I think that's actually going to be it for this episode, because you've seen multiple times now that I'm very easily capable of defending this particular fief. Diathma is just fantastic for it, and I'm going to do one more of these off screen because it is, well, just so simple to defend. It's got such a great layout, it really does. Highly recommend using a ballista as well yourself sometime, if you can. And otherwise, next time, I'm thinking we'll probably be at war against someone else, and then we don't have to see Mr. Penton's face ever again, because he seems to be the one that's primarily leading the violence against us. But who knows, who knows. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.